of all, thank you so much. I think, in a way, the importance of the band and the impact you girls had on the scene, and how much you influence a lot of girls, even boys, to create music. But for people that don't recognize your beautiful glasses, who the hell are you?
Oh, with the glasses or without? It is almost 100 degrees today in LA. So I just got back from running some errands and I quickly made my way here so we can have this wonderful chat today. But yeah, no, I'm Aixa. I play drums in Go Betty Go. We're a band that got started as teenagers in Glendale, California, which is a suburb of Los Angeles, with my sister. And a mutual friend introduced us to Betty, who's our guitarist, and she actually lived down the street from us. So, we actually went to elementary and high school together, and we didn't actually cordially meet until like Betty and Nicolette were towards the end of their high school years through this friend. So we started jamming. I booked a show. They realized, okay, this is the real deal. We're a band. They just thought we were jamming and that was it, and we would have called it a day. But I was like, no, guys, like we're a band now. And Betty was always running late whenever we would have our jam. So as soon as she'd get there, we'd be like, all right, Betty, come on, let's go. Go, Betty. Betty, let's go. Go, go, go. Go, Betty, go. So we said that so many times. We never even thought of like what we would call this band, right? But that phrase was always kind of something we'd always say to Betty anyway. So it just kind of stuck. My sister Nicolette, the singer, she's a fan of Betty Page, so she loved it. And yeah, we played as a three-piece for a few months. We had a friend then introduce us to Michelle, our bass player, and he said, hey, I met this great bass player. I think she's gonna fit right in with you girls. You guys should meet her. And we did, and we are like, yeah, you want to be in the band? And she joined the band, and that started in the early 2000s. We would play a lot of shows in the LA area, like sometimes like 4 or 5 shows a week. So we started creating kind of a buzz for ourselves just by playing a lot, and we'd write songs and just have fun. We then got we caught the eye of Side One Dummy, which was a big punk label at the time. You guys might be familiar with them. They would put out the Warped Tour compilations, and they had Flogging Molly, MXPX, a bunch of great bands that came out of that label. So yeah, we were part of that, and there's a lot more to the story, but those are kind of the initial beginnings of the band.
And the first time I heard from you girls was when you signed on Side One Dummy.
Ah,
Thomas Dreux really helped the
yeah.
show, and he's French, and I know he lived in Montreal for a while, so he know about the poutine and you
Yes.
know all the running gag in Quebec. But yeah, it's such a beautiful story of friendship. People that didn't really care what other would think and just do it. But
Yeah.
I'm curious, when you were a kid, you and your sister, were you in a musical family, or did you start to listen music, and what did influence you at a young age?
Oh no, absolutely. Yes. Not necessarily like a very musical family. My father is a big music fan, and he does play guitar. So, he would always have a guitar at home and play and just kind of do his own thing. But he would listen to a lot of rock music. So we would play, he would play a lot of Clash and a lot of the Police. I mean, I literally remember with my mom and sister dropping him off like to go see Depeche Mode at Dodger Stadium. I was like 8 years old. I was like, why can't I go? So a lot of musical influence at home, growing up like in the 80s and the 90s as a kid. And then like when we were teenagers, at school, a lot of friends started introducing us to like punk rock and a lot of like the Lookout Records bands. So we were getting into like Operation Ivy and Screeching Weasel and all the like Gilman stuff. So that was kind of like our punk rock influence. That we just kind of discovered ourselves through, like when you're a kid at school and your friends start introducing you to stuff. And then that's we always started little bands with my sister. Like we would just write songs together. We always that was always a thing, and we would like do shows for our families, and we would just love to create and perform. So you know, it's something that like we always enjoyed doing. And it just, you know, it kind of sprung up just by that influence that I think we had at home, but also being exposed to a lot of good music. It just inspired us to want to do it. And we never thought twice about it, like as far as being limited, because a lot of the stuff we were looking at were all guys, you know. But it didn't matter to us. We liked hearing the rock and roll, and we wanted to play rock and roll too, and we didn't think twice about it.
Yeah, yeah, and you're right because at that time there was a few female band. There
Yeah,
was the Go Go's was
yeah,
a really good example, but there was a
yeah,
lot of girl involved in the scene. But you really have to look out. I mean, I spoke with X
yeah,
when I do the interview with them. You know, it was kind of surreal that you have to dig, but somehow, you know, with times it's fun to see that all those bands inspired a huge generation, and now there's more and more, and we got a thing here called more women on stage.
yeah, yeah. No, I've seen it firsthand, and you're right. 80s and 90s, it was limited. You know, it's funny, we're half of, you know, the human culture, the human or of humanity, I mean. So you would hope there's a little more of us in rock and roll. But yeah, there's definitely some pioneers, and I do like the fact that I've noticed it on a significant basis. You know, you're seeing a lot more not only female singers, obviously, but actual musicians and great musicians too.
It's for me it's still surreal that you have to think
Yeah.
of, you know, what is the sex of the person in front of me singing those songs. It's
Yeah,
all about the songs.
I know.
So at
I
the end,
think
it should be like not even equal. It should be like just
it
people
just
and
is.
diversity and not
Yeah, yeah,
looking
no.
for, you know, trying to understand why there's not much more in the scene, which is a real concept at the end that rock and roll was, you know, in the 60s and 70s, more a guy thing and the guy club.
Yeah.
And then it really opened up at the end of the 70s, and the 80s was kind of the started up. So at the 90s, people were, you know, way more open mind about that, and I think that now is just still surreal that media talk about it, because I think in the scene it's kind of you know, it's a no-brainer. I listen I think I listen way more to girl band right now
Uh-huh.
than boy band in a way.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff out there, and like I said, and like you've noticed too, over the years there's just been more and more of it. And as we become exposed to it, just becomes more and more normal too, which is great.
Yeah, and you were a catch in a huge wave in punk rock. The 80s was the explosion.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that nobody in the 80s would thought that punk rock would, you know, went to the radio and that, you know, inject that amount of money and attention. But how was the scene when you start going to show, and how much it influenced you, the LA scene, like more the local scene around you?
Uh-huh. Well, as a teenager, I didn't drive, so it was very limited. They were like more little small local shows. Like my dad would not take me to the Sunset Strip, you know, where a lot of these big shows were happening. Even though he probably would have liked to go with us. And in fact, actually, so we would go to a lot of, it's funny, we'd go to these churches, right? And the churches would have these punk rock shows in their basements. And some of them were like Christian punk rock, but they really weren't because they just, it was a place to play, you know? So I remember being exposed to a lot of my first by myself or with my sister, with my friends going to these shows, and seeing these like underground punk rock bands. And then, you know, and then as soon as we started the band so early, like we were 17, 18, 19, we started playing at that age, and then we started going to these venues that I wanted to go just a few years earlier by myself, but I wasn't allowed to. So now in fact we were playing them, so we were part of the scene, and it was really exciting to be able to not only see these other bands that we were on the bill with, but be able to be part of the lineup. And then we saw, and then throughout the years we saw their shows. In fact, actually, my dad took us to the Roxy. My sister and I, we got to see Patti Smith. So she was one of the pioneers. And that was probably, I want to say like 2005 or 2000. Yeah, probably 2005 or so. And he thought he I don't know if we were that familiar with Patti Smith at that time, but he really wanted to make sure that we got a chance to see her, and that was a very memorable show, very intimate show. Obviously, Roxy is probably, I think capacity is like 350, 400. I could be wrong, but it is a small venue, so that was quite an experience.
It's so cool. My parents were not at all into music. So, it was rough for me to make them understand that Van Halen
Yeah.
was not a bad beast. It was not it. Nothing's gonna happen to you. I was maybe in sixth grade in junior high school, but anyway, it's
Oh,
so
I
fun
know.
to have somebody that kind of open, but still, I'm sure when you start up the band, it was kind of afraid because you were young and it's kind of dangerous
Yeah.
and
I
and
think,
just
yeah, the fear was that just us like going out, and obviously when we started touring and like driving to places, I can imagine my parents, being very worried for us. But
call
they always
us.
trusted, yeah, call me, let me know where you're at, and this is before smartphones. But
Yeah.
they definitely let us do it, so I'm very grateful for that. But they probably had a lot of sleepless nights, when we were traveling far away by ourselves. But luckily, knock on wood, it always went well with us, and hopefully it keeps going that way with our travels.
And you stick to it. I think that's the most important thing. When you have that gift, it's sad when people stop at some point, and it's rough, the industry and the pressure
Yeah.
of being in band. But I think that growing up, and I'm sure it happened with the reunion and getting back together, that you have less stress because you know what you want and you know what you don't.
Yeah,
It's just
exactly. You
that.
learn. You learn a lot. And it's true. Yeah, we did have a moment when we were, kind of reaching one of our peaks. My sister pretty much got burnt out and she had enough. We were on the road, and she decided she was done with the band, and things happen, you're on the road, you're living, especially at our range of band, and a lot of bands will tell you this, you're living kind of like a gypsy on wheels, really. You're just traveling around doing the same thing, and when you don't get enough rest and you're confined to these spaces and arguments that could have been handled better at home, with space and everybody at home, blow up when you're on the road. So my sister had enough. We had a few years there where she had quit the band. She went to art school and got a good education. And during that time, we had Emily join the band, and she filled Nicolette's shoes and really kept the spirit of the band going through those few years. And that was probably 3, 4 years that Emily was in the band. And then, kind of as a spontaneous occasion in 2012, a friend of Betty's was putting a show together, and she's like, let's just get Go Betty Go on the bill. And Nicolette was interested in just like coming back and singing some songs, and just kind of a one-off show. And even Michelle had quit the band for a little while too. We had another bass player who was playing with us for a little while. His name was Phil. And, long story short, we got together for one-time reunion. We loved it so much, and everything that had happened to us in the past that, had us blow up and dismantle the dynamic we had, it just came back together like no big deal. Like we had been doing it for those 5 years without stopping. And it felt good, and we kept doing it, and we've pretty much been doing it nonstop ever since 2012. And we continue to play shows and write songs, and right now we've got a new EP coming out next week. So it's been a ride, but yeah, we just managed to keep it together. We've been able to find a good balance now between our personal lives and the music. Obviously, we don't do it full time like we used to, and I think if you speak to a lot of musicians these days, unfortunately, it is what it is. You can't really make a good living off of being a band on the road full time. I mean, you probably would have to be on the road 10, 11 months out of the year to be able to do it and be very comfortable. But nobody really wants to be doing that these days. So we've been able, like I said, to find that balance and be able to have normal lives, but at the same time, we feel like superheroes because sometimes we come back and we do these shows and everybody loves it and we're like, this is great. Yeah. It's the Go Betty Go superhero band that comes together. So we're really fortunate. And a lot, we laid the groundwork for ourselves when we were pushing hard full time 24/7. So it's like we continue to cater to that and be able to produce and be able to live off of all the fumes that we left from working so hard. But yet we still continue to work hard when we do it. I mean, we put all of our effort into it. We just don't do it all the time. We do it, when we get together and we play, these one-off shows, or we do small regional tours, like a lot of other bands I think are doing these days.
So true. So true.
Yeah.
It's really rough out there, and you're right. And I think that what happens with time, a lot of people that knew the band are excited of the comeback, but a lot of people learn about the band through the last 10, 15 years. So festival know the name, so you can do a
Yeah.
little run where you don't lose money, but it's worth it to go where you can gather a lot of people and they'll be, not just the fans but bring new people.
Oh,
And
exactly. No, that's very true. I mean, in fact, like you said, you're in Montreal, right? We did Pooza a few years ago. We're due for another one.
yeah,
But
Guillaume. Yeah,
yeah,
you go
we
right
were
now.
actually booked on the 2020 version, but obviously we know what happened there.
Yeah. Oh, no, there was a
You don't know?
vortex, so it was like 2 years later. Oh
Yeah,
shit, we're back
yeah,
to
yeah,
life.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So yeah, we've been doing that, and then a darker side to our story in the more recent time is Betty was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer almost 2 years ago now, but she's been fighting her butt off and really has shown that a terrible cancer diagnosis like that doesn't have to be a death sentence. So obviously it was a complete shock to everybody when we found out about it, obviously, especially to her, because the last thing you expect is to get such a crazy diagnosis. But we held our heads high, and more than ever, we told her we're going to do whatever we can to help you just get through this and make sure that you recover and just be completely optimistic throughout the whole journey. She's doing a lot better. She's not completely free of like, she hasn't gone the clear, but all the treatments she's been doing are actually working. She's had dozens of chemotherapy
Oh my
sessions,
God.
had multiple surgeries. And as hard as everything has been, at least the outcome for each of these treatments has been good. So she's got a couple more surgeries coming up to just kind of, really get everything out. And hopefully, she'll be making an appearance soon again. But she needs to just focus on her health right now. But in the meantime, that's why our EP took so long to make, because we were kind of going with her schedule depending on when she was feeling well enough to record, when she was feeling well enough to do a music video. We were being, as strategic as we could around all her medical procedures. And it's amazing. It's amazing that she was able to do what she was able to do. In fact, because of so much chemotherapy, she lost all the nerve feelings on her fingers. So she had to, yeah, being a guitarist, that's rough. She had to be able to kind of learn how to play like that, and she still kicked ass, so it's unbelievable. And yeah, we're hoping to see her soon. We've got some upcoming shows. She's still not fully fit yet, so we've got our friend Adam Bones, who is a great guitarist and a good friend of ours. He plays in a band called the 210s, and he's also putting out his own project, so he'll be filling in for Betty, and we're happy to have him there, and we're gonna rock out and do our shows. And we've got some stuff here in California. We're playing in Las Vegas upcoming this month in September, and then we're gonna be playing in Chicago October 12th. So we're doing the T1 Fest out there, which I believe is a festival that also benefits type 1 diabetes. It raises funds for awareness for that. So I know that that hits a lot of people as well. So we're happy to be there. So yeah, we've got a lot of exciting things coming up, you know, the new music and some shows. So we're excited to finally kind of get back out there this year.
Yeah, to like have not a lot of sleep and then little to recover and then get back to not having a lot of
Yeah.
sleep. But it's amazing, and for Betty, it's a huge fight.
Yes.
I don't host most, I don't host that much on presenting band because it's cool, but not in the same way because it's all about the music and the band, not the guy
Yeah.
who yelled the name of the band. But I did many years for a festival called Rock Against Cancer, and I know there's
Oh,
music
wow.
for cancer. And I hosted the first years because my non-father-in-law got cancer
Yeah.
like 2 times. So I know
Mm.
it's such a fight, and it's yeah, you have to keep
It
it
is.
positive. PMA, positive mental
Yeah,
attitude.
yeah, as positive as you can be. And it's true, we're all affected by it. Like we've either gone through it ourselves or we've known everybody that we know has unfortunately been touched by it somehow through a close friend or relative. It's just an ongoing crisis, really, and hopefully within our lifetime we can see a cure to it. But it's something that a lot of people here, you know, in this world have unfortunately come across. So the yeah, if anything out of this whole situation, it could show that someone like Betty, who had very grim circumstances, was able to really push through and show hope for people that it's possible. You got to fight your butt off, like I said earlier, but it's something that is doable. So never lose faith in that possibility.
She's a punk warrior,
Yeah,
level
she is.
100.
Yeah, yeah, she
Yeah,
really
but
is.
it like that you take that negative in and continue to bend because that's what you want. And
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people in the crowd relate to that. I relate to that. When I heard the story, I
yeah,
was like, oh my god, I still can't believe, like you said, that you we didn't find a cure, or we're still having that much people that win or lose the battle. It's a hard
yeah,
battle, but the positive thing, it's the more we got. The last few years, medical improve a lot, so a lot
absolutely.
of people win. So
Yeah,
yeah, it's so cool that she's on a way to be back on her feet, and we
it's
wish her
incredible.
all fucking well, all the
Yeah,
positive.
thank you. And it really, you know, part of her healing process has really been in part due to all the support she's gotten from the community, from the fans, from everybody out there in the music world that has heard her story, people that she's known in her life that have come back. Just the positive reinforcement that really helps. It really helps the mind to be able to hear that and just get that support coming your way, and just knowing that so many people are thinking of you and being able to send their good vibes. Some people have been able to donate, which has been fantastic, because obviously a struggle with when you have such a horrible disease is you can't financially sustain yourself because your full-time job is doctor visits and treatments, and you feel like crap, and you just physically can't do work. It's inconsistent, you know, your health. So her GoFundMe page has been up, and we've been keeping it up because she just still continues to need that financial support whenever it's possible for people to donate, and she appreciates it so much. And it's truly been a blessing. It's been, you know, the last thing you want to worry about is paying your phone bill and your rent at the end of the month when you could potentially be dying, you know.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
it's it's like the last thing we wanted her to worry about, and that's why we set it up as a band, because we knew obviously we'd get the most exposure that way, and people would learn about her story, and just people who love and care about her and just want to wish her well. They know that she can use the help, obviously, if you're able to. But no, again, it's amazing. It's amazing. The team of doctors, the supporters, her family, her friends. It all truly. It's just the package that came together, and like punk rock has helped save her life as well, for sure.
I remember I did an interview with Flogging Molly
Yeah.
and Nathan, which I say hi
Yeah.
Nathan.
Hey, Nathan.
Such a great dude. And he
Yeah,
said, like, we did a show, we throw a show, and we just have a little money, so and we give it. But and I said, man, there's no little money when it's time to give. So people, if it's just like 50 cents, who
yeah,
cares?
yeah.
That's and we will donate, of course, because yeah, it's and I don't want to start a debate, but it's really rough, the medical system in the US.
Ooh, yeah,
um
especially here in the US.
we're whining a lot. It's not that good in Quebec. It's really bad too here, really
I
really
mean,
bad, but
Americans here
still
always say,
it's
oh, Canadians have a great healthcare
yeah,
system. I'm sure it's better than the American one, but
yeah,
it's
almost
a
free in
very
a way. So if you got cancer, you don't have like 15-20K like each
oh
kind of
yeah.
years of treatment and everything. It's really
No, it's
yeah,
and that's good for you guys, and that's the way it should be for everybody in the world. I mean, healthcare shouldn't be a thought about like how am I going to pay for this. It should be something that your government that you contribute to helps you with when you are in time of need. But here in the United States, people go into medical debt and they can lose their homes. And a lot of the mental illness and a lot of the health crisis you see of people on the streets are people who unfortunately had a bad health situation too, and they just had no family or friends to help them out, and they just go darker and darker into these horrible situations. So yeah, no, it's a system. We're not going to get into in details, but it's a system that actually doesn't make any sense.
yeah.
It's
If you got money, if you're rich, no problems. Even if you're
yeah.
wealthy or whatever.
Yeah, you either have to be, but I'm talking about super rich or
Yeah.
you've got to be dirt poor. If you're anywhere in the middle and average, like most of us are, you're screwed because these treatments could be, $200,000 and that will bankrupt any normal person, you
Yeah,
know?
you're right.
So yeah, yeah, yeah. And then yeah, you have to be completely poor and not have anything to your name to be able to get some basic public health care otherwise.
I was
But
laughing because of the super rich concept. Like it's so surreal. Like being like, and there's
yeah,
billionaire and can be
yeah,
like
because everything's so
like
expensive these days, you
rich
know?
should be like the only thing, not like super and then billionaire. What the fuck
Yeah.
is wrong with the world?
Oh man. Yeah, there's a disbalance that has obviously come to light a lot more, I think, in the last few years.
And the thing is, what pissed me off is as a musician, you are a therapist. I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of people that came to you, you changed my life, those
Oh,
songs,
we've heard
and and
that.
and like you should have like therapist salary. It should be like a program where musicians are, because you help people mentally. We learned that during the pandemic, losing like
Yeah.
all we had was visual like art, like cinema and TV series, but we lost touch of going to a museum and we realized the impact of
In the
of
real life.
you-
Yeah.
yeah, it touched your soul and you miss that.
Oh, you're so right. I mean, music is like the soundtrack to our lives, right? So we hear songs and it brings us back. I think most of us can relate to that. It brings us back to memories. It reminds us of people, uh, people who in older age who have dementia, and Alzheimer, they remember songs and it transforms them. So absolutely, it's therapeutic in many ways.
I'm joking, but government, we need to find a solution. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, the new single is amazing. The video is so fun.
Thank you. That
Um,
was my sister Nicolette. When she quit the band, she went to art school. She learned how to make some stuff. So that's actually a good piece of advice to bands. If you can have at least one band member be a graphic designer, visual artist, you'll save a lot of money. That's for sure.
it helped. It
So
helped.
it helps a lot. Now she's a very talented artist, vocally in the band and artistically and visually. So we're really lucky that she has that vision and she's been able to create a lot of amazing graphics for the band, the video. So yeah, if you're listening to the interview and you haven't seen it, it's Party at Sea. It's our latest single. And the full EP comes out September 13th. So it's going to be out any second now, and we actually were selling vinyl, so you can listen to it digitally, on all the streaming platforms. You can see the videos on YouTube. But if you want vinyl, you can go to wiretaprecords.com and get yourself a copy there.
And it's so fun to have somebody in the band, because it's hard from somebody outside the band to have the vision of the song and the idea. But having somebody inside is like doing the video. It's like
Uh-huh.
exactly what we have in mind. So you see like kind of those crazy image that I'm sure you had writing or creating
Oh,
the
absolutely.
single.
It's the full project, full circle. It comes together. And the song very much tells a story. And even visually, we were thinking it was brought up to us recently. We didn't think about it this way, but the song starts with Betty singing a very sweet melody just by herself. She's by herself on a boat. And then we all come together and we unite, and it kind of represents what has been happening. She started the struggle that is happening to her, but we come together and we make it happen. And it just represents that unity that we have together, and we're on the ride together and going all the way through.
When I
But
hear
the
a
video
song
is
from
very magical, and it's an adventurous ride. So if you get a chance to watch it and you haven't, enjoy.
how much party you had at sea.
I know. How much can you handle without Dramamine? Like the
But
song said, pop some champagne and enjoy.
when a song got stuck in my head the first time I hear it, I know it's a fucking
It's gonna
radio
play.
hit. It is.
I love it.
If
That's
if if
fantastic.
if commercial radio don't get it, we do. That's
Yeah,
a great song. But I think, yeah, the EP is amazing. I had the chance to hear it, and I
thank
think
you.
Michelle was back for because everybody was kind of involved in the EP, and there was like two old songs from what I heard. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
so if you remember, I was talking about Emily earlier. She sang in the band when Nicolette quit as a vocalist. And we used to do some songs with Emily when she was in the band that we never recorded, but they were always songs that everybody loved. And since there's no rules in anything we do, we thought it'd be really fun to get Emily back and just record those songs, which we had never recorded before. So one song is called City Lights, and another one is called Am I to Blame? And what's kind of cool about it is both Nicolette and Emily, it's the first time that vocally they're on the same song together. So Nicolette sings backups like we all do in the band, and Emily sings lead vocals on those. So it's a really cool thing to be able to come together with the full history of the band and be able to release these songs. And for Emily, she's so stoked that she was able to finally record these songs, and we're more than happy to be able to do that and get these out. And fans who remember Emily from back in the day will be happy. And then people who are discovering it for the first time, there it is for them to enjoy as well. She's a great vocalist, so we're really excited that we finally uh, could release some music because she is part of the Go Betty Go history. And and there we go. Even though it's been a few years since those songs were originally written, there's no reason why they shouldn't be out there. So we're more than happy to get that out and for everybody to be able to enjoy them.
This is one of the greatest interview. First of all, because you're amazing. It's fun talking to you, but because I don't have to ask a lot of questions, and even if I make a mistake, you understand what I'm talking about. Because I said Michelle, and I don't know why, because I know it's Emily,
Oh,
but I,
I,
I throw Michelle, and oh, you're talking about Emily, and you
oh, of
just like,
course. Yeah, I get
that
it. I
was
get it.
amazing. My bad.
No problem. No problem. You know what though? It's because I do it all the time too. And we all do it. You're talking to somebody and you say something else and they know what you're talking about. So because we're engaged in the conversation, we're having a good conversation. I appreciate it as well. You're doing a great job here. So it doesn't even feel like an interview. We're like friends here talking.
Thank you. And yeah, and what's the best way if people want to encourage the band? Of course, there's the GoFundMe. If you want to help Betty, and we encourage you to directly go there. But if you want to buy merch of music, you said it. What's the best way?
Yeah, so we're all on the obviously on the social media platforms as Go Betty Go, official on Instagram and Facebook. We actually recently opened up a TikTok account, something we hadn't touched. You know, there's so many social media accounts I can't keep up, but I know a lot of people use TikTok these days, so we need to get our followers up on there. So you can find us on TikTok as Go Betty Go as well. We're on YouTube. You can see all of our music videos. Where our website actually had been hacked. It's back up. It looks like shit, but gobettygo.com, something's up there now. At least we have our domain. And you can buy our merch through our Instagram and our Facebook pages. We link to our merch store. We're after we play these shows, we're gonna be restocking our merch store. So even if you can't come to show and meet us and buy merch there, you can buy it online, obviously. And yeah, just you can always Google Go Betty Go and you'll find us somehow. That's
Yeah.
probably the way these days too.
And if you don't have money, we get it. It's rough time. It's
I
everywhere.
know.
Every
You
platform,
can stream our
TV.
music for free, or watch free YouTube videos. Just pay your internet bill.
Yeah,
Your
but go
phone
at the
bill.
show if they come to your town and encourage them
Please,
or
yeah.
sing the song out loud. We're gonna
Yes.
wait in Montreal, Quebec City, and the old Quebec, of course. But the TikTok thing is a good thing. I went there too. I hate those algorithms. And I'm not cool anymore. I'm 42, so it's kind of
Oh,
weird. I
we
feel
gotta
like a
try to keep up.
grandpa going like into a cool place, and I'm not that cool. But still, well, I think one of your song was used in Cobra Kai, so
Yes,
it's a good thing that you make some, TikTok thing. I think there's a way more potential for you to get into those
that's a great
algorithms than
idea.
me.
Yeah, no, that's always great exposure in the places where you don't expect, but somehow they do help out the band because back in the day it was like just radio play, and if you were lucky enough, you were getting your video played on MTV. But these days there's all sorts of different platforms, and obviously getting placement in a cool show like Cobra Kai was a good thing for us. We're excited about that as well.
Very well deserved. Thank you
Thank
seriously
you.
for your time. It was amazing. We're gonna do a huge special. Of course, would be great to do a part two later because
Happy
there's
to.
so much stuff that I would ask and love to talk about. But that was so fun, and I'm sure that a lot of
Thank you.
people are now aware of the story in Quebec of that band. It's. I think that everybody has a place in that huge puzzle, and I think that Go Betty Go has a huge important in that puzzle. So thank you for losing money in the name of music, but for influence a lot of people and girls to, just do it.
Well, I appreciate, like I told you earlier, that you take the time and the interest and talking to me and letting your listeners and viewers know about Go Betty Go. So thank you very much.
You're amazing. Thank you so
All
much.
right, we'll see ya. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.
Thanks.
Take care.
Bye.